Happy Friday. Brian Manning here with the weekly update. So much to talk about this week. It's unbelievable. But before we get to it, Ball Fiesta, right about a week away, Saturday, November 11th. Live music, McDavid tacos, open bar. Gonna be amazing this year. Doors open at 6. Music starts at 7. Be there. It's going to be incredible. Let's see. News of the week. It's just endless. There's so much to talk about. It's unbelievable. Monday was a relatively quiet news day. Not a lot to talk about there because it was Fed week and employment reports. It's unbelievable. Another month has already gone by, and we're looking at employment reports that we get in the first week of every month. It just blows me away how fast time goes. So let's see. Tuesday this week, we had some information out of the Eurozone. Their inflation is moving down to 2.9%. It looks like Europe is feeling more recessionary pressures than we are right now. For us in the US, what that means is that Europe would likely buy less US goods, which means there'd be less goods being exported, which is going to assist us with inflation here as well. Inflation around the world is very much interconnected. We're not at that 2.9% number yet, but we're moving lower. But anyway, that's what we're seeing out of Europe. We also got some feedback from Case-Shiller and the FHFA. It's a little bit dated for the month of August, but this is for housing appreciation. Case-Shiller said in the month of August, homes across the country increased by 0.9%. So that's all purchase transactions in all homes, not purchase transactions, that's all homes, excuse me. And then FHFA said that homes appreciated at 0.6%. The difference is that Case-Shiller takes all homes into account. FHFA only looks at homes that have a conventional mortgage attached to them. So it's a narrower data point that they're looking at. Also, we're likely going to see a little bit of a slowdown for appreciation in Q4. This is normal. Year-over-year numbers are going to remain strong, but usually there's a slowdown in the market in Q4. Not surprised that we're going to see this. In addition, we got some feedback from Apartment List. This looks at new rents. And Apartment List said the new rents were down 0.7% in the month of October. This is good to see. This is helpful for inflation. The two key inflation reports we get are the CPI, that's the Consumer Price Index, and the PCE, that's the Personal Consumption Expenditure. Both of those reports take a large account in there for housing, specifically rents. So seeing the rents continue to come down is good for that. Wednesday this week, we got ADP. So ADP is the largest provider of private payrolls in the US. They have about 25 million samples in their database, which is a very accurate number. The first Wednesday of every month is when we get the employment reports. The expectation was that for the month of October, 150,000 new jobs were created. We had 113,000 new jobs created, so a slight miss there. What's crazy to see is of the 113,000 new jobs that were created, 45,000 were in health and education. So healthcare and education are always going to be strong. They're always going to be adding jobs, but that was definitely a miss of a report. We also got some feedback on wages. So wages, instead of increasing at 5.9%, have now been increasing at 5.7%. What's important about this is that for 16 months in a row, you're seeing wages across the country go down. This is important because the Federal Reserve looks at this. They're looking at employment, they're looking at wages, they're looking at inflation. And when you have wage pressure, inflation coming down, that's what this is wage pressure, inflation. When you have it moving lower, this is a positive number for the Federal Reserve to look at when they're making decisions. Also, I told you we had a lot. Wednesday this week was Jerome Powell speaking as the conclusion of their two-day Fed meeting. As expected, Jerome Powell left rates unchanged. All of us really expected this. You know, I would say personally, I really think that they're done hiking right now. He did say that they're seeing some tightening in the financial and credit conditions, which we have all seen. I truly think they're going to be done hiking right now. Markets have all reacted favorably due to just, my interpretation is, their interpretation is, and leaving rates unchanged. Then Thursdays, we got continuous jobless claims. So Federal Reserve is going to watch jobless claims. This is people filing for unemployment. This rose by 35,000 people, and it's at 1.8 million people filing continual claims. So the Federal Reserve is looking at this. They're trying to keep their finger on the pulse for employment. They're trying to calm down the employment market. And as you're starting to see an increase in unemployment, the Federal Reserve is looking at this, and this is assisting in their decision potentially to go forward to not hike rates anymore. Also, Bank of England this week on Thursday paused their rate hike. So just like Jerome Powell and our Federal Reserve, Bank of England does rate hikes as well. They had 10 hikes in a row and they just paused. Again, the world is interconnected financially. Inflation is interconnected. So you see Jerome Powell pausing rate hikes, Bank of England pausing rate hikes, Christine Lagarde pausing rate hikes across the board. You're just seeing a pause in rate hikes now, which is good. And I think we're all really happy to see that. And possibly this is just kind of a global shift right now. Today, Friday, We get the BLS report. This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Let me pull this up. So this is a big one. This is what everybody was waiting for. We really need to see what's going to happen here. So this is for the month of October. So this shows us that we had an expectation of 150 to 180. We got 180,000 new job expectation, and we had 150,000 new jobs that we got. So it was a miss by 30,000. Why this is important? Because for month after month, the job reports have been coming in really strong. What also is very interesting to look at is the prior 2 months were revised lower by 101,000 jobs, right? So that's basically them come back and saying, hey, we're sorry, we made a mistake previously, or we just didn't do our math right. We were off and we overcalculated by 101,000 jobs in the last 2 months. So to expect 180,000 and get 150 and have prior revisions by 101,000, that's helpful for us as far as rates are concerned. Also, something very important for us to look at, like we spoke about a minute ago, is wage pressure inflation. So what we really look at is average weekly earnings. So average weekly earnings have moved and moved lower from 3.5% down to 3.2%. This is important because if you look at average weekly hours, this is for people worked across the country, moved from 34.4, down to 34.3. This is all very important. The reason why is because employers typically are going to start to reduce hours for their employees if they're seeing the economy slow down, if they're seeing their revenue decrease, and they're going to do that before they lay people off. So if you're seeing hours worked come down, this is definitely much lower than where it was a year ago, and you're seeing average weekly earnings come down, that means that employers are kind of feeling the pain right now. And instead of wage pressure inflation growing, so being, an increase in inflationary pressure, we're seeing these numbers retract and pull in, which is all going to be very helpful for us as far as inflation numbers are concerned across the country. Again, the Federal Reserve is looking at this. This is what they're using to make their decisions on if they should hike rates again. And I truly believe that because of the employment report that we got, the inflation numbers that we're reading, and the true employment data that we're seeing, I would definitely think that, perhaps they're done with their rate hikes. We'll have to see what happens in December. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. I'm around all weekend. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to learn how we're closing purchases in 15 days, give me a call. Fall Fiesta. I hope we see you there. Happy Friday. Have a great day.